Welcome back to a special edition of Slam Shenanigans. This is going to be a unique video for me because this is personal. This is the making of a wedding arch. I've milled quite a few now and provided lumber to others that finished wedding arches, but this is the first one that I've done start to finish by myself because this is for my son and his bride. So join me and watch as I start the process here. This is going to be a video just to kind of document what I went through to do this for the kids, and so that they can look at it and their friends can look at it and see what it takes to make an arch. So it all starts with a log, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm grabbing a redwood out of my log deck. It takes a little bit of maneuvering here just to get in there, get that thing out. So I started with one that I thought would I'd be able to basically split down the middle after I squared it up, and I'd be able to utilize that. So follow along. Here we go. All right, so once we get it out of the wood yard there off the log deck, we got to put it onto the mill. So I was trying to gently put this little log on there so I don't have to manipulate with my hand tools or anything, and gently with a 5-ton excavator is not always gently, so we get it on there. So we'll get the equipment out of the way, shut her down, and then we start the process of getting this log up on the mill here. And because this is a smaller log, it was fairly easy to level up, and we just start kind of slicing stuff off here to square it up, move it around. I'm basically getting 2 good edges on it. And what I mean by that is that the thickness of the arch is what I'm shooting for here. And so I take multiple slices, and then eventually here we're going to turn it up on its edge. I was getting some 1-bys out of there too. So here it is up on edge. So now I'm going to take a little bit of time and actually measure, because you can see there's a little kink in the end there. So what I'm trying to do is get this thing set up to where I can split the heartwood and the pulpwood there. And you'll see me kind of take the mill and measuring the ends off the deck, trying to make sure that I've got the best possible slice through this thing. Just pulled my ram down there so I got room to actually cut without cutting through steel. I take the mill all the way down the other end, and I just verify that center on the mill measurements, and then I can set my mill up. So I'm double checking obviously there. Set my mill up to the scale on it, and then take the slice. So if all worked out perfect, I would have 2 beams ready for the arch. But what happened was I didn't like that piece of wood, and this is for my son and his bride, and I wanted it to be perfect. So went back to the log deck, got a very large log, and I figured that I should be able to get something out of here. So this one was so wide that you'll see me stop a couple times as I manipulate this thing around. And I actually had to use the excavator there to manipulate it. It was a little bit too awkward for the mill to rotate it. But basically I'm taking slices off of this thing and trying to make sure that I can get the mill through the widest part. I'm going for an arch, but I'm cutting slabs as I go. So because this is very useful wood, and you don't want to just throw it away, because it's you can sell it as slabs. So you can see there I stopped, had to do a little trimming. Got a couple slabs done now. So here I'm bringing the tractor over so I can pull some of these out of the way. And I'm actually taking and doing the spray test and seeing what they look like, and taking pictures at the same time, because these eventually will go up for sale. Like I said, the primary point of this log cutting is to get down to the center, which is across those knots, because the bride wanted some knots and some feature on this. So I needed to try and cut off basically the outside edge. I changed the blade there, I think. And I'm trimming the log here so that I can get the mill past there, and you can see I'm doing a lot of trimming. So that's what all these stops are. I'm trying to cut and chisel away to make sure that my 26-inch width can get through there. So And it's tough too because this is redwood and the bark is super stringy. So it catches up on all your guides and your rollers, and it's a lot of fun. But anyways, you saw me flip that a couple times. Here I'm getting down to, I think, one more slab. And I think I'm almost at the point where I'm going to be cutting the actual arch width. So here I'm just double checking everything. And again, too tight. Gotta do a little whittling there. A lot of whittling. I think I actually used a chisel on that too. So we got there. Now, to actually make the last cut, I had to chisel out where the guides are to be able to shift this whole thing over to the right in this picture to where my sawmill would clear. And here's the dog.
Dirty dog. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we always have the dog interruptions. She likes to get dirty, and she likes to roll in the dirt, and then I actually clean her off with the air compressor, and she loves that too. So what you just saw me do was actually cut the width of what I was going to start with for the arches. So here's the two beams that are going to be my arches, and you'll notice that they're basically rectangle, and you'll see what I'm doing here. Because there was so much sapwood on these things, I had to recreate the live edge because I didn't want, the arch wouldn't have been, ratio-wise, it would have looked terrible if I'd have left it all the way out to the natural live edge. So basically I took off a bunch of the sapwood and tried to get the best balance between heartwood and sapwood on this redwood and recreated the live edge. So what I do that with is it's an angle grinder that's got this basically round disc that's just got some gnarly teeth on it. And it takes quite a bit of wood off fast. And you can go too much and make it look not natural. And everybody at the wedding, and I hope you all are watching this, most probably thought it was natural live edge, but it was a recreation because I had to. Just because if I'd left all that sapwood on there, it would have been like a, I don't know, 14, 16 inch wide arch. And to make that look good, it would have had to have been about 20 feet tall. And that just, I wouldn't have been able to get it up to Oregon. So this is what I'm doing. So after I do that with the shaping disc, I bring out the sander. And this is where all the work was. I'm only going to show you, there's going to seem like there's a lot in here, but I'm probably showing you a quarter to a third of the sanding that I did on the arches. It just took a tremendous amount of sanding. And I looked at this thing and I wanted to make sure it was perfect. So I didn't have any of the shaping disc marks in there. I didn't have any cut marks in there. And you'll see later on in the video, I actually used the planer to smooth up the larger surfaces that are vertical in this picture. So I kind of attacked the live edge portion first, and you'll see on the right, that's the other portion of the arch. It's still got the cut from the mill, so it's rectangle, and I will recreate that live edge here in a bit. But tons of sanding went into this, and I was super happy to do it. It was for the kids, so I mean, I had no problem with doing this. There were some other things that happened in between here. My dad passed, so I lost a week going down taking care of his affairs on this. So it was a little bit of a push towards the end there, but turned out fantastic. Here's what I'm doing is I'm just putting some water on this so I can see kind of the marriage between, use a funny word that I used there, but the marriage of the heartwood and the sapwood. So the heartwood is the darker stuff there. So wait until I turn it. But all this yellow is what we call sapwood. Oh, I guess I don't show it right here. It's just more sanding. This is the shaping, actually. This is the second beam. You can see the chips are flying pretty good there. And now I'm going to the sander. And sanding all this, I started, I think, with 60 or 80 grit and worked up to 120 or 240. So there was, like I said, just tons of sanding. So here I start on the planing because I didn't want to spend all that time on sanding. The planer takes care of things really fast. It makes it consistent. So I'm setting up the planer and my rollers on each side, and these things are still pretty moist at this point. You know, this was, I created these probably over 2 to 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And so at this stage, they were pretty wet and pretty heavy. And I ran it through a couple times and realized, oh my gosh, this is pretty heavy. I need some help. So brought in the muscle there. That's the wife. So she was great helping me out with this, just kind of guiding and then helping me walk it back around. It gets to you at the end of the day if you don't have help doing this. So I started to build a very large custom picnic table about a year ago, and after the first day of moving beams that were much larger than this by myself, I hurt my back so much that I didn't do anything for 2 weeks. So I was getting a little smarter and went out and asked for the help, which was fantastic. Love her for it. And so what we're doing is we're getting both of these down to the exact same thickness and very smooth on each side. So the planer has two settings. One's just to get down to dimensional size, which basically sends it through a little faster, and then you can switch the gears on it, and it slows the feed speed down a bit, and it makes a smoother finish, so there's very little sanding. And this, I think, is the water on the flat edged after planing, so is what I did. But even after planing, there's marks from the planer. If there's even the slightest nick, or if there's something funny with the wood, you'll get just a little bit of a line. And so what I'm doing here is looking at the entire flat surface here. And I think I started with 120 on this side because the planer is just perfect already. But I needed to get rid of those little lines, because once you finish it with the spar urethane, you'll see all those lines. And so that's what I was trying to take care of. And then I'm naturally hitting the sides again more. Just handling it, going through the planer. Redwood's fairly soft, so you'll get a little dent or something, and I just didn't want any dents, any dings. So I spent a lot of time sanding, resanding, and you'll see the supervisor there following me around. That's Cricket. So just a lot more sanding. Like I said, I was sanding out all those things. I think I got a little clip coming up here in a minute that'll explain kind of that, but just enjoy the sanding, because I sure did. There was a lot of it. And like I said, I'm only showing you a portion of it. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know it was a big hit at the wedding, but we'll see how you like the video too. So what I'm going to try and show, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the film or not, but if you look, see these lines? These are actually scratch marks from the planer, and that's what I'm having to sand out. So this is the one that I haven't sanded. This is the one that's been planed and 120 sanded, so they're all gone now. So yeah, that's what we're trying to get out so it doesn't show up that well. And once I seal it, you can kind of see this line disappears right here. This is where I sanded. Yep, so that was the clip I was talking about, where I was trying to show you guys those the lines from the planer. And like I said, this may seem like a lot of sanding, but it's only a portion of what it was. And that's the thing about woodworking, is that it's all in the, not the prep, but it's in the finish really with woodworking. And I am by no means what I would call a woodworker, but I definitely put a lot of effort into this and wanted it to turn out good. So that's why you're seeing all the sanding. And more sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding, blah. Anyways, keep watching for a while here. Oh, now what I'm trying to do is actually I'm getting to the point where I'm marking out and trying to get my angles for the actual arch part of it. So I did some measuring over there based on how tall these are and how I thought they would be angle-wise, and then gave it a shot, and then you'll see a whole lot of fine-tuning in here. So I'm going in, getting ready. So this is after the first cut, and I had a picture taken just to see how it would be height-wise. And we came back, I'll show you in a minute here, that we wanted that taller. But what you see me doing here is sanding on a slab. And this, my intention was to bring up for a gift table. But it turns out they didn't think they had room for a gift table. They ended up putting up one anyways. So I did a bit of work on this guy here and actually finished it with the spar urethane, but turned out we didn't use it, so I didn't take it up, but I just leaving it in the video. So just another picture of almost done sanding on the arch pieces. And here's where I didn't show everything, but I actually used inserts that are threaded inserts that thread into the wood, and then you just use it bolt on one side of the arch to that. So one side of the arch you can't see anything, and the other side of the arch is just a hole where the bolts go into. So a lot of this was me trying to set it up, and what you see here in a second is I'm tightening and untightening, but if you caught it, I was actually making a straight line across the bottom so I knew what kind of angle to cut on the bottom, and that's what I'm doing here. So, and there's just a ton of back and forth and rechecking and fine-tuning that angle and making sure that everything's going to be perfect. And then I'll go on to building the legs, which will actually lift this up again. Because as you saw in that picture a while ago, it wasn't that tall above my head. I'm like 5'10", and we wanted a little bit more height on it. So after I get all this done, I'll go on to making the legs here. And so that's what I'm doing here. And at this point, I'm actually, I'm back from my dad's taking care of his affairs, and I'm kind of running out of time. So it was kind of a more of a fast mode here, and I blew it and actually put these stands together in the wrong orientation, and I'll show you that in a second. But once I switched the camera, if you look closely, and I called the wife up for more help again because this was just a little bit too sketchy. But now you can see the height is much better. But then I realized that the way the supports were, they would not support the arch. The lateral part of the legs was parallel to the arch itself, which meant that it's going to have no stability. So I take them down, and I had realized it and remade it. So. And also we had, our life is never boring, so we always had solar going in at the same time. Here it is. This is the arch in place. So obviously I got it done, and it got up to Oregon. This is the bride's grandparents' place. Just beautiful place out of Silverton, Oregon. This is a picture wall that I made for them, and this is the bride and groom right here. Super happy couple. This is both of my sons, who the one under the arch there was actually the best man for my younger son who got married. And this is the picture wall with some pictures on it. Again, it was just a beautiful day. Everything turned out fantastic, and here they are. Couldn't be prouder of all of them. There's both sons there, his bride and the bride's younger sister, who was the maid of honor. And here's just some pictures close up of the arch and the finished thing. Super, super awesome. Really enjoyed making it. I think they loved it. And I just wanted to make this video to have for them to see in the future, and all their friends to see and know where this thing came from. It was a fantastic day. So happy for both of them. They're fantastic people, good souls. And appreciate you guys watching. So thanks. See you on the next one.